When do you start looking and back timing, like you like to say, from the end? When is it time to start doing that and moving your pawns into the right positions?
They'll be thinking about it right now. I mean, the engineers will have all of those calculations there, but with the safety car periods, everything gets reset, as Scott said. But certainly those last 3 or 4 hours, that's when you really have to play the right cards. You've got to make the right choices.
And the safety car is in. We'll be back to racing here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, the 79th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And that's the 51 right there of Tony Vilander that flashes by, I believe. And here come your leaders overall. And look at this.
Look at that.
Taking a look.
True, yeah, looking to the inside as the other cars are now released from pit lane. So they had to wait, not just for the safety car, but then the cars that are behind that safety car to pass them before they are released. That cost those Peugeots dearly.
And it is on right now. You see the number 2 there, Benoit Trillier. He has been absolutely magic. Lauderer. Well,
that's how close it was to another problem for an Audi with a Ferrari.
It can happen just that quickly. Trillier trying to hang on to the back of the Peugeot in front. Simon Pagenaud behind the wheel of the 9, and it could end so quickly, just as you said, in the blink of an eye.
All these cars, you got to remember, it's very cold right now. Everybody's trying to get their tires up to temp. You got to be extraordinarily careful trying to do that outside move when it's as cold as it is, because the guy on the inside of you could easily lose it and take you right out.
Exactly. That was really a close call there. Here we watch them.
Trillier sitting there saying, okay, I will follow Simon through. I'll follow him through, but don't forget, I mean, you go back to
Vilander there, uses all of the road there, nearly squeezes him onto the grass.
He's holding it to the inside as much as he can, but Scott, as you pointed out, cold tires and such, and you're you're holding on to that GT car as much as you can. You don't have the downforce,
Cold
and
tires.
now a problem for the 35.
Coming out of Indianapolis, I think.
Yep.
We talk about this, and it takes a couple laps for these tires to really get up to temp, and where you have the confidence in them. You run these cars with the least amount of downforce you can anyway.
And right in the target zone coming out of Indianapolis, it just
got on the gas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he hit it pretty
reasonable
hard.
contact, yeah.
That wasn't a lazy spin. That was contact with the outside barrier. I think he then drove it across the road and then got stuck.
This is out of Mulsanne corner. You ride on board with Benoit Trillier, and the 35, some pretty significant damage, and it is right in the target zone at the exit of Indianapolis, and those corner workers, the marshals, out on the track. I tell you, that is not a safe place to be.
No thanks, not for me. I wouldn't be out there.
No, not
well,
at
not
all.
that way. In a race car, yes, but like those corner workers, they're brave.
Right now, Alexander Wirtz in the number 7, running 3rd on the racetrack. Andrews with his teammate Marc Genet.
That was a tough stint, I think.
Yes, it was tough. It's been a very hectic race, you know. We are pushing all the way. The safety cars make life difficult. Sometimes they are positive for you, sometimes they go against you. At least the problems we had during the night, we fixed them, and it's a lot easier now to drive. We just concentrate on driving.
Well, you know what it's like to win this race.
I know, but I don't know if we're going to win it, you know. It's an incredible battle. I don't remember. I've been here 5 years, and I never remember such a tight battle between 2 Peugeots and an Audi, and I have no clue how that's going to finish.
Thanks very much. I don't think any of us have.
Marc Genet won it in 2009 with David Brabham and Alex Wirtz. So look at this. We were talking about the marshals out on the racetrack. They get the 35 back underway, but he just doesn't look upstream, and
it's just insane as Sarrazin, I believe, comes through there in the Peugeot, followed by another one. Just crazy, crazy stuff. You see the marshals narrowly escaping there. The car's coming through the corner. Then 35 car gets underway. This is wild stuff. This is really, really crazy stuff.
And it's like we've said, the drivers just said it. There is still a long way to go. A near miss there. Plenty of stories yet to be told. And the opportunities for failure, they are everywhere around this racetrack. We'll be back to more Le Mans coverage when we come back right after this. The Audi to the right, traffic is going to play into this.
It really is there. Look at Simon. He's on the flashes there.
Oh!
Really tight there.
Peugeot gets the door shut. One of the GT cars in front. It's the Lotus. Can Trillier get the run out? And right behind him, yet another of the Peugeots.
Sarthe, who is one lap down and is going to be really anxious. He can taste it. He can feel it, Scott. He knows any chance of victory, he has to be on the lead lap of this race, obviously.
He's got to be on the lead lap, and he's going to take those chances with that Audi in front of him because he has nothing to lose.
That's right. I'm sure the directive from Olivier Canel will not be get back on that lead lap, get past that Audi, take some chances. They trade some paint, so be it. That's the last Audi left in this event.
That's exactly right, and there are two other Peugeots. You don't want to sacrifice yourself, but at the same point in time, as you said, if something were to happen, that would be the third Audi gone.
Tough position for Trillier. He's really got to deal with this. Effectively, he's got to be careful. Can't afford to throttle away. There's some body work we can see there, just coming apart there down the Mulsanne. I don't think that'll be a big issue. I'm sure they'll try and effect a repair if they can without costing them time on the next pit stop.
Can't tell if it's a larger section of the nose or just a smaller section through the two kinks on the way down to the right-hander that leads to Indianapolis, the second of the kinks.
This would be the perfect time for Sarthe if he's going to make a move on the Audi.
Sarthe looks to the inside. And I'll tell you what I did see when we were in break. I saw Trillier get a little bit wide coming off an Arnage. And I wonder if he has dislodged that nose a little bit because of that ride. He got really wide coming through this corner on the last lap. I think he ate a little bit more of the curb on the exit right there than he normally would. There you see him in the dust once again. And we know Timo Bernhard did a similar thing early in this event, and they had to change the nose on the Audi, and they can't afford to lose precious seconds in pit lane right now.
You're right on board right now. That's Simon Peugeot in front in the lead Peugeot, and then right behind Trillier, and then Sarthe. As you said, Sarthe wants his lap back. Stone faces down at Peugeot watching.
Oh, look at this. Simon's just trying to stack them up, trying to read the traffic. Trillier goes to the inside. This is potential ugliness right there. Oh my goodness, this is crazy stuff.
Who has the better balance?
There he goes. He looks at the inside. Who's got the run down the Ford chicane? Peugeot defends.
Trillier to the outside. Sarthe there as well. And now the first of the chicanes that will lead you back to the pit straight. Trillier cannot get the job done. Sarthe lurking in the background. More GT traffic as they head down the front straightaway. And they'll get to that portion just about the time they get to the Dunlop curves.
A lot of traffic here, really changing things up, making a tight battle between the Peugeots and the Audi.
We knew it was going to be a classic based on the times they've been setting all week long. Who would believe 17 hours plus into this race they'd be separated by mere inches at times during the course of this stage of the race. This is fascinating stuff. Can Trillier deal with this pressure in front and behind? Now he is literally the meat in the sandwich. The other Peugeot joins them.
Alexander Wirtz behind the wheel of the 7, the third of the Peugeots there in line, but he is third on the racetrack in the running order.
Still a lot of GT traffic coming out.
Absolutely.
These guys still have their hands full. And a lot of action.
And I'm wondering, as you said, Calvin, if Trillier doesn't have his hands full of that R18, the aerodynamic balance off perhaps a little bit. You see that lifting of that body panel as he heads down the Mulsanne. While it may not be as aero-sensitive as the R15 or R15 Plus was, every aerodynamic device is on this car for a reason. And as you said earlier, Timo Bernhard had a problem, needed to come in and replace that nose, and right now, the bodywork not fitting precisely as it should.
Peugeot seem to have a little bit of legs than Mulsanne.
In qualifying, it was about 8 kilometers an hour, about 5 miles per hour down these straightaways. I want to tell everyone at home that Dorsey Schroeder just came into the booth with fresh lattes made from his motorhome outside. Nice one, Dorse. As we're watching the pressure build at the front of this race.
Things have settled down just a bit. Sarthe has dropped back off the back of the rear wing of Benoit Trillier, and you wonder if that ebb and flow of traffic didn't have something to do with that. As they get a little bit more open racetrack, we will see. We talked about the wings on the Peugeot, the rear wing, a little bit earlier. Figured out a way to get less drag out of that rear wing, and that will accomplish two things: higher straight line speeds and perhaps better fuel efficiency. We've seen both out of all three of the Peugeots today.
Yeah, you have to run a mandatory rear gurney, or wicker bill as some people call it, of 20 millimeters. that's just under an inch. And it has to be at 90 degrees to the rear main plane of the wing. What they've done, they've changed the profile of the flap on the Peugeot. They really copied what Oak Racing showed up here at the Le Mans test with. And what it allows them to effectively do is to lay that gurney a little bit further back, which means there's a little bit less drag, and it seems like they picked up some speed since the test. Maybe that's the reason.
There's the 81. That's your leader in GTE AM. Spencer Pumpelly behind the wheel there, and I'm not sure where that Flying Lizard Porsche was parked. Actually, he's not the leader anymore. The 50, Gabriel Gardel.
Look at this.
Oh, wow. Traffic again playing into it, and they are back nose to tail. That's the 33, the level 5 Motorsports LMP2 entry. Trillier there again to pounce. Can he get the job done? Look at
Here comes Sarrazin. Trillier blocks him. He sees him coming. He's done an awesome job. Trillier is really doing a stunning job here, Scott. He's feeling the pressure, but he's placing the car where it needs to be. He recognizes he has an advantage through the twisty bits. He's trying to take advantage in traffic.
He's trying to take advantage, but at the same time, there's one Audi left. I mean, you got to try and make those moves, but at the same time, we're talking just under 6.5 hours. You can't, you lose everything by tearing something up.
Risk reward.
Risk reward.
Right now, he's made all the right choices. Can he handle this pressure?
And it is traffic that brings these cars back together and separates them from time to time. The accordion effect. Alexander Wirtz, the last of the prototypes there in the order. Talked about that earlier, running third in the order, fourth in line right now. Perhaps Wirtz is just hanging back a little bit going, man, it's intense right up there. I could win this thing if all three of these guys get into each.
It certainly seems like they have a bit of pace on the Peugeot. Juliet's doing a great job.
And a problem, a definite problem now for Spencer Pumpelly, who has stepped out of the Flying Lizard Porsche. Once again, if he steps 10 meters from that car, it is day over. It could be already since he has climbed out, but we'll see if we can get word from that team.
Running second in class. They had the lead for so long. So Sarthe had the slide off down at Mulsanne corner, trip through the gravel. They got Spencer in the car, and we're now hearing some kind of engine drama. So that'll be a major disappointment for that team, the three American drivers. Spencer Pumpelly on debut, attempting to do something that not many people have done. You did it, Scotty. Winning on debut, but it's a tough road.
It is a tough road. We got real fortunate coming back with Corvette to win.
Right now,
look at this. Sarrazin on the back of Trillier.
Oh,
they have the speed right there. Yep. Picks up the draft and makes it stick into Mulsanne.
Got to run. You got to believe that JMW Ferrari really held him up out of that second chicane, and it allowed Sarrazin to have the run.
What does this man do now? Does he allow Sarrazin to try and get back on the lead lap, or does he let him create the buffer and protect the leader of this race, Simon Pagenaud, with the red mirrored number 9?
Well, we know that the 9 car had radio problems earlier. They may have radio problems now.
What? What'd you say? I didn't. What?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. And it is very much team as far as Olivier Canel is concerned. He doesn't care which of the Lions ends up on top at the end. He wants to put his team in the best position. But I can tell you there are 9 different Peugeot drivers, and divide them into groups of 3, and each one of those groups will have their own opinion on who should be first at the end of this 24 hours. It has been intense as the leaders have worked through traffic. Take a look at this. This is when Sarrazin gets past Trillier.
Run down to Mulsanne corner, gets to the outside, then there's a little right-hand sweeper coming up, cuts across there, nicely down in time for the brake zone.
You can see we've been talking about this. The Peugeots just seem to have a little more legs down the straightaway. We're able to make that move. And up to the tight stuff, the Audi certainly looks quicker.
Yeah, and I think on lap time, the Audi is a bit quicker. I'm liking something they see. Maybe this is it. Look at this. That's what they're seeing. We're seeing a replay of it. That is wild. Trillier around the outside there, finishing off the Porsche curves and gets back by Sarrazin. A wry smile from Dr. Ulrich.
There was no doubt. There was total commitment. It was that was going to work, or it wasn't. And I'm beginning to look at the front of the number 2 car, and to me, the front splitter does not look secure.
Yeah. I think he's taking a trip over a curb somewhere, and can't tell exactly well when, but Arnage certainly took a run out there about 5 minutes ago.
And take a look. This is on board. He sees it happening. Here I go. I hope it works.
Is he committed or what?
Dr. Ulrich has had few things to smile at today, and that was one of them. You think it's all laid back in endurance racing? Take a look at that, and there's plenty more action to come. And the battle is just as intense as it was when we left. You see the number 2, Benoit Trillier, under intense attack there. The red mirrors on the number 9 Peugeot. That is Simon Pagenaud, and that is for the lead. Trillier gets around Pagenaud. Wow, he is on a march to the front.
He is. I mean, and we're talking about the Peugeot seem to have a little bit more speed on the straight, but without a doubt, the Audi's just powered by.
The Sarthe that Trillier was battling with as we went to break, but he took the fight, and I wonder if he did it in traffic yet again. The Audi really seems to have the responsiveness in traffic. Did he use traffic to catch up and then get by Simon Pagenaud?
And we also have been wondering for the entire race, have they been holding anything back? I think, you know, they're at a flat-out pace right now. I think that's all they got.
If he has any more, I'm afraid to watch it after what I saw in the Porsche curves just moments ago. Look at this. Pagenaud wants it back.
This is a dangerous
great show going on right now, guys.
Oh, a little wide of the apex there through Indianapolis. Now they'll run down to Arnage.
And you ask yourself, can they do this for the rest of the race? Well, yeah, I think they can.
Scott, it's like you have said multiple times, it's like dodging a bullet. And as impressive as Trillier's move was at the exit of the Porsche curve, it was either going to be a hero or a zero. But yeah, how many times can you dodge that bullet? Let's take a look at this again.
A little bit of traffic. That's just enough for the Audi to get a run.
Pagenaud gets balked just a little bit.
Uses the 4GT as a pick. That's good. Heads up, looking far up the road.
And then you can see the acceleration rate is almost identical once the Peugeot was slowed down a bit. Kind of side by side. It's hard to see any speed differential at all. And now, down at the end of the straightaway, it's just who can brake later, who's willing to risk more. Right now, it's Benoit Trillier who's willing to make that risk. For Peugeot, I know that they've got three opportunities, I should say, in total out there right now. You still see that bodywork on the left front of the 2 car. And to me, that nose section does not look tight.
It doesn't look good. Let's open up an air gap, and that's going to slow up the straightaway even more, which is where they're weak.
It's so hard to understand, but the aerodynamic principles of these cars are so sophisticated. Just being off by a few thousandths of an inch from the ideal location can change pretty intensely the balance of the car. So we don't know what Benoit Trillier has to deal with right now, if the handling of that number 2 R18 is ideal or not.
Well, it looks like they're running awful fast pace up front with the Audi. They were able to stretch out about 6-8 lengths on the Peugeot.
While this battle continues, you see the 73 Corvette, the only Corvette left running after Jan Magnussen had his contact with the 63, the Proton Competition Porsche. It's Christian Reed in the car. Andrew, do you have an update on Christian?
Well, I do. I just spoke to him, and he wasn't in the car. It wasn't him. It was Horst Felbermeyer Sr. He is still in the medical centre here. Christian doesn't know what his condition is quite. It's not a huge concern, but he obviously was knocked about quite a bit. But it wasn't Christian Reed. It was Horst Felbermeyer Sr.
Thank you for that, Andrew. Timing and scoring still showing Christian Reed's name beside the number 63. So good to know that he is okay, and our thoughts are certainly with Horst Felbermeyer Sr. As we go back to the battle up front, and you know, we've talked all day long about the drivers of the number 2 car and how they were kind of third in line in the pecking order, but they have not put a wheel wrong all day long. And it's not that they haven't taken chances, that's for sure.
No, they are now.
Very, very impressive. Andre Lauderer was, Marcel Fassler, he's just put his head down and done his job, and now Benoit Trillier, absolutely stunning.
But might I say, you don't get a ride in one of these cars without being worthy, regardless if it's considered a third car or not.
Well, we were just trying to check an update on Christian Reed, and we find out that he was not in the car. We do know it was Jan Magnussen in the Corvette, and Jamie, what do you know?
Well, I did speak with Jan Magnussen after he made it back out of the car. He said that he was going to go and get some rest. I asked him if he had heard from his wife, Christine, yet about the arrival of their baby girl, and he said, nope, no news yet, which is why I'm going to go get some rest, because he knows it's going to be a busy week regardless of what happens at the track today. Obviously not the end that they were looking for, but let's go back to the number 2 car that you guys were just talking about. Speaking with Brad Kettler, he said the best way to train drivers, to train our crew, to train our engineers is to actually do it in race conditions, and that's what they're doing with the number 2 car. Brad Kettler and all the gang at Audi Sport paying extra attention to the 2 car now because they're the only one left, but they've been paying extra attention to them all year long because this is their development program. This is their next generation of Audi Sport drivers, and they're doing everything that they can to give them all the experience needed, and right now it's being put to the true test.
Well, Jamie, we've seen the body work on the front of the 2 car a bit loose, at least from the driver's perspective. I'd like to know if you've had any conversation with Brad Kettler as to whether or not they plan to change that nose their next stop.
Traffic playing a huge piece in the race. You just see, you try and work that traffic to your advantage. Sometimes it plays out, sometimes it doesn't, but Audi is stretching out a bit more of a lead at the moment.
7 car, the Peugeot, also has some aero problems in that one of the winglets on the nose has come loose on the right side. So that looks like it could tear off and lose a little bit of frontal downforce.
So perhaps Alexander Wirtz not having the car underneath him that he wants right now. I mean, with 6 hours and 20 minutes left to go, these cars have been punished for quite a while. So it'll be interesting to see not only who has the power to make it to the end, but who has the balance to make it to the end. Jamie?
Well, you asked about the nose on the number 2 car. It would be very unlike Audi to need to make an adjustment, change the nose, and not have it out and ready. When Ralph Juttner, the technical director for Audi Sport, walked us through their garage area this week, they have stacks of them sitting back there ready to go, but they do not have any out here in pit lane ready to go when the crew's ready for a pit stop, but it doesn't look like they're going to be making any adjustments. I'll let you know if they pull one out, but right now it looks like it might be a stop, just status quo.
Well, thanks, Jamie. I appreciate that. And the thing that's interesting is they have the same feed that we have. They see the onboard shot, so they know that that panel is loose. And seems like for Ralph Juttner and Brad Kettler, the rest of Yost Racing, that they're thinking, well, we're going to let it go for right now. We're going to let it ride.
For right now, it's obviously they know a lot more. They're a lot more intimate with the car than we are, and they know what they need to change and what they don't.
Well, and they've spoken, I'm sure, on the radio with Trillier, and he's either told them, yes, the balance is fading, or no, the balance is good. And if the balance is good, there's no reason to take the time through the right-hander into Indianapolis. Spectacular piece of racetrack. Then the short run to Arnage, the very tight right-hand corner. See them beginning to catch traffic. I think that might be the 51 leader in the GTE Pro category, Tony Vielander.
Obviously, our audio is
certainly not on par with video.
He just did Arnage flat, which is frightening.
Actually, that wasn't the 51. It was one of the GTE AM cars. Here come the Peugeots. Oh! And this is the issue. We talked about it earlier. You get in there with drivers who are not familiar with the racetrack and perhaps just right at the top of their ability level, and they've got to focus on driving the car. Not a lot left over to focus on paying attention to traffic.
And Sarthe wants to get back up front. He wants to get his lap back. So he's got a little different motivation than the rest of the Peugeot group.
Interesting to see
get that lap back.
That Peugeot has dropped back a little bit from Chelier, and you look at the lap times, and Chelier faster by almost 2 seconds, 1.7 seconds the last time around. So, I mean, that Audi really digging deep and laying down some lap times right now. And obviously traffic ebbs and flows and has something to do with that. But,
you know, they could have just gone back to their game plan. You know, you mount those attacks for a while, and if you can make good of it, good. If you can't make good of it, you fall back in, and, you know, there's a long way to go still. No need to abuse the equipment. It was 6.5 hours almost.
Right now, the crew, the engineers looking on from the Peugeot camp, making their notes, making their game plan, as you say, Dorsey, trying to figure out how to get to the end of this event and take the checkered flag. For Peugeot, they've got 3 opportunities to do it. Audi down to 1. We know Audi setting up for a pit stop. We'll see if it's this lap or not. Benoit Trillier built that lead to just about 4.5 seconds indeed to pit road right now, and with a 4.5 second lead from just 2 laps ago, literally nose to tail with Peugeot, and then taking that lead. So that number 2 Audi, very, very quick indeed, comes to the pits. The 9 of Peugeot comes to pit road as well, so they are on the same pit sequence, and it is a long run down pit road at 60 kilometers per hour right now. It's got to feel like an eternity for Trillier, who has been spectacular on the racetrack.
See what all they do. Obviously it's routine, but
well, they changed tires and driver last time in, so they'll probably just do water bottle, fuel, and be off. They'll probably triple stint the tires.
Yeah, there's the drink bottle. You see the 9 Peugeot in as well. Expect the same pit treatment down there as well. The Michelins will stay on. 65 liters of diesel will go in. So the Peugeot should be back underway. Now he got to his pit box first because it's at the beginning of pit road. The Audi is at the far end, so while it looks like the 9 is away a little bit sooner, they'll come out in the order in which they entered the pits. 2 car in front of the 9. Now on board the 73, Tommy Milner behind the wheel. Tony Vielander leading in GTE Pro, and Milner running second. And about 2/3 of a lap behind still. Right now he's showing a lap behind, but that'll cycle through, and if it works out the way it has recently, Milner should be shown on the same lap. They're going to need some help to close that distance a little bit.
a yellow that's not of their own doing.
But they've had plenty of those yet today. Trillier back on track. Those Michelin tires. Nice thing about that is, as cool as it is, you come in, you get your fuel, you're right back on track, and the Michelins are still very, very warm. There's Peugeot back behind him, coming out of Mulsanne corner and the run up towards Indianapolis. The 2 right-hand kinks. One of those where Mike Rockefeller had his problem.
I have to say, the tire spins are outstanding. Unbelievable that these Michelins